Hey guys! Welcome back to Let's Play Xenosaga Episode 2. Last time we went over some mech tutorials. This time we're going to go over character tutorials, which are much more important. There are less battles in mechs than there are as humans. The ones in mechs are a lot easier. These ones, not quite so easily. They basically took the difficulty from the first game and decided, no, that was way too easy. Let's make it way too hard, at least early on. Anyway, this is our first, yeah, it's kind of funny, the fourth wall joke there, but anyway. Basic attacks, just like in mechs, we have square and triangle, but now we also have circle as well. You basically need to find the most effective, like the little icons there. The P stands for physical. The other one, the green one, I think that one stands for... What is that one anyway? I don't know. I always forget what all those ones do. But the sword obviously is slash, the fist is strike, or hit, or whatever you want to call it in this version of the game. And the little up arrow is, well, the status air, or up, or whatever. Anyway, basically we need to make use of the different attributes to do more damage to the enemies. It's not like episode 1 where characters or enemies are weak to one element or maybe a second element. A lot of the time you're going to want to combine, say, a strike attack with a lightning attack to deal even more damage, and then do some other things after that. And I will get into some of the skills I learned last time once we kind of get to the point in the story where they explain some stuff about skills. Anyway, best form of attacking is to just attack. So keep your eyes on the screen and look out for the B and C sign. So if you look to the bottom right, this was UTIC Soldier A. These are a little different than the normal UTIC Soldier A's that we'll fight later. But let's just show this off incorrectly to start with. Now, do note that you can hit triangle and then hit X to go back if you hit the wrong button, or square and go back, because there's two attacks for your first attack that are tied together. If you hit circle, you're just going to do the circle attack. You can't go back from that. So I'm going to go for a triangle and a square. Now, the C... Notice in the top left, the C was in white and the B was in red. Red is good, the white one is not. So let's go for 2 squares, since those were the effective ones. And we can do it one more time here. Now, can you kill the guys so that we can continue with the tutorial, please? Am I not getting... There we go. Notice the B and C displayed. Yes. These are so-called zones, and they indicate the location or height to which each attack hit. Zone A is over 3 meters. How am I supposed to notice that in a game? My monitor is not over 3 meters tall. I cannot figure this out. Anyway, basically, it's a really stupid way of doing it. I'm not a big fan of it at all. They wanted to do break, they could have done break, they could have just said square is one zone, triangle is another zone, and circle is another zone with only 2 characters. So, which is basically what it is. Very few characters can attack the A zone. Most of the time it happens with 2 certain characters when they hit enemies that are flying, not necessarily tall enemies. Zone B is pretty much universally going to be your square button. Zone C is pretty much universally going to be your triangle button. It's possible to do that with Zone C and Zone A with circle in certain situations, but that comes down to another stats effect that we haven't learned about yet. Most enemies have a zone that is their weak point, and we need to exploit those in order to do damage. If you don't kind of go with the battle system and try and make it work for you, you're going to struggle a lot to deal any damage in this game. By continuing attacking the enemies, they will, with their weak zone, you'll able to break the enemy. Now, what this is it breaks them for 1 turn and they become more vulnerable. Now, the thing that'll happen is if you switch from the character you are to your next character, they'll recover from break. However, if you boost the next character, you'll be able to maintain the break state and deal additional damage. Speaking of down, oh, I thought we were going to go into that. Never mind. Okay, we got air and down. These are the other status effects I was talking about. So what happens is if you hit the enemy into the air and then boost another character in, they'll be able to hit the enemy in the air. If you down an enemy, you'll be able to hit the enemy on the ground and then boost another one, you'll be able to hit them again and deal additional damage. Now, the unique thing with air is if you, say, hit them with an air attack and then don't boost somebody, but they have the next turn, the enemy will fall down and then they'll suffer from the down status for that turn even without boosting. I will make use of this a few times throughout the game, just as things go on, but... Anyway, damage values. For an enemy who is in the break status, they take 1.5 times damage. If they're aired, 2 times damage. If they're down, 2 times damage. If you hit them with a critical, it's 1.5 times damage. There's also something called high critical, which will do 2.5 times damage. As you can see, we combine many of these effects. You can only air or down an enemy once they've been broken in the break status to begin with. So you can already see that's going to be 3.5 times damage just by hitting an enemy who's in the air or on the ground. In the down status, not just on the ground in general, but you get it. You really need to have effective strategy in this game, otherwise you're going to struggle, and I've struggled a lot in this game. The first time I played, I almost didn't want to play because I was at an area that was just so close to the start of the game and it was so difficult. The second time I played, when I knew things a little better, it was still difficult, and it'll be difficult this time too. Anyway, he has maxed out our boost gauge, so we can go and take a look at some stuff here. So they haven't shown this off yet, but we can boost, which will activate double. Now double, we need stock in order to do this. So we'd have to stock multiple times in order to get this to work. But basically it's a double tech. Basically. And I have something to mention about that when we show it off, but they'll show it in the next tutorial part of the battle. Other thing we can do is Ether, and again, they'll go into this later. If you go into Ether with someone boosted, hit the triangle button, you can actually double it. And instead of normally, it hits one ally for 2 EP, if you do double, it'll hit all of them for, it's still 2 EP each, but it's very effective that way. And that 2 there just indicates that it requires 2 people, I believe, or 2 EP each. But yeah, we don't need to do that yet. I think we can do that with that too. We also don't need to do that. I'm not going to stock or bother with any of that because I can kill the enemies without it. Now, sometimes when you break an enemy, you'll be given a stock gauge, which is below the character's EP values up in the top left and in the middle. Basically, that will allow you to do another attack, and we'll go into that again once we get to it. So, first things first, we're going to use BB to break this guy. And if I get lucky enough to get another attack, you will see it because, yeah, we canceled this turn there because we did it on a turn cancel. So that's effective. See, right now, I have the ability to do circle there. I didn't press it, so it didn't make use of it. But if you notice Chaos in the top left there, he now has a stock gauge. There is a random chance that will give you that extra stock if you successfully break an enemy. Now, if you don't successfully break an enemy, then there's no way you're going to get that. But if you want to stock up now, you could stock up and do multiple attacks in the same round. And there you see, after killing the enemy at the top left, we got some additional skill points for defeating them on the skill slot thing. Anyway, we get a med kit as. Next enemy we face will also be a tutorial battle, unfortunately. There are a lot of tutorials to start this game off, and you really do need them to kind of get used to and understand the new battle system. So I'm going to just kind of go over them as time goes by. And we blow up the car, which leads to this gate that won't open from this side. As you can see, there's a little light there and a ladder, and we can do that later, but not now. Blowing up this reveals an old familiar friend. Segment addresses. Yes, they have made a return in this game. We will be able to return to pretty much every area to go and check those things out. Tutorial battle number 2.
Sometimes it is wiser to retreat.
Take it you're getting used to battles. We've had one battle. How are we used to it yet? Anyway, let's explain some of the other menu commands. Stock will increase your stock gauge by 1. Again, take a look up at the top left. You got a stock gauge from doing that. If you stock up to, you can obviously, you see the slots there, you can stock up to 3 of them. And then you can do your normal attacks plus 3 circle attacks to deal a lot more damage than you would normally be able to do. Stock gauge goes up to 3, blah blah blah, yeah, 5-hit combo. Using stock to perform extra attacks will allow you to air or down the enemies from break without using boost, which you almost never want to do. You never want to just use boost to send somebody into the air. There's a few situations where it'll be useful, but for the most part, you'll want to do that all with one character and then boost the next character in line to start wailing away on somebody. Double attacks, as I said before, can be done by basically a double tech, and if we boost, it illuminates that, but you have to boost in order to even see them. And in the end, we will only see the first one because I have pretty much never used them, and it's just more effective to use your own attacks and do other things. There's a lot of strategy involved in this game. As far as a non-tactics game, this is as close to a tactics game as you can get without literally being on a pixelated field and moving certain steps. Anyway, enough rambling. Yeah, so in order to do the double attack, we need to have at least 2 stock with each of the 2 characters and have 1 boost in front of the other. Doesn't matter which one, but somebody has to boost. They'll explain that here. I'm just going to kind of go over it fast. This is the time where we actually realize it's Chaos talking and not a narrator or Jin or anything like that. So anyway. Yeah, so the opposite can be true as well, so that's fine. Yeah. Now it's just practice. A lot of practice. By the end of the game, you will still be practicing. Max out the boost gauge and the stock gauge, so have fun. Well, I think that you take Soldier B. Now, different enemies have different break gauges, or break zones. So, the first one we fought, the U-Tick Soldier A, had a break zone of BB. Soldier B, here, has a break zone of CB. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go C, B, and then hit up, just so you know I need to do enough damage to kill him. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stalk. I probably should have boosted there, because what I wanted to be able to do was take this guy out in 1 round. So I'm going to stalk one more time. And I'm going to keep going down because I'm used to episode 1. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to boost, and we're going to stalk, and then we're going to boost again, and then we're going to stalk. Normally you wouldn't want to do it like this. I just want to show off the double tech. Now, hopefully this one-shots the guy. This is the double tech that Chaos and Jin used in the animation.
Let's go.
Ice Brand. It looks very similar. I don't think I killed it, did I? Oh, I did. Good.
May you rest in peace.
But yeah, that's the only double tech we will probably see in this entire LP, because at least in my test run, I didn't use any of them, and while I struggled, it probably wasn't due to that, because anyone else I've seen play this game has basically avoided using them altogether as well. Anyway, here's a ladder. Climb the ladder. And do some backtracking here. Not a whole lot, just enough to get an item. Blow that up. And we get a skill upgrade D times 3. Luckily, we can get items in groups like that in this game, so it's not like you pick up a spear, 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 spear. Anyway, so yeah, that area is blocked off. We can't get over there yet. We'll be able to do that later on our return trip here. They use the same system as in Episode 1. We can do Encephalon, dives, or whatever they called it in that game. I don't know. Since we have characters and...
Sometimes it is wiser to retreat.
but not in this case. Sorry, Jim. Because a lot of the battling in this game is really rather complicated, I'm going to show probably more battles, at least early on, than I would normally. But later on, the battles take so long that I'm going to be cutting a lot of them out. Even ones that I would normally try and show. Anyway, so as you can see, we have no more stock gauge. We have no more boost gauge because I used it last time, so let's see if we can gain some of that back. Not enough damage to take him out, so let's try that again. See, I have another stock that built up from attacking. Again, it's a random chance, so it's not like you have a whole lot of option there. So I'm going to go CB here, and then you are going to get the kill, so I get some additional points. Most of the time, it'll be ×2. It's just like in the previous game, ×2, or ×4, or ×10. And we gain some levels here. Okay. Now, these things here, you can actually blow up. Did I actually blow that one up? Okay, good. No, I didn't. There we go. You do want to blow these up, and there's a reason for it. You actually get an item out of it. Okay, so there's that one. There's that one. And it shoots this one. I'm not sure if you have to kill them all in order to get this, but I always do anyway. There we go. That's all we need to do there. Over here. Here's something you want to remember for later. Toys Universe. Product deliveries only. And we don't have a passcode in order to do this. I don't think they'll even let us try. Though it's probably a good thing, because what's inside isn't fun. There we go. So this will give us additional boosts starting off here, so that's helpful. I'm not going to use any of it. I'm just going to try and take them out. Now, the ability we got in the last episode that I learned for Chaos I think it was called Memory. What that does, it'll remember the correct zone to break individual enemies after you've successfully broken them. I have them written down for the first time we encounter them, but for subsequent times, it's nice to have it right there on screen so I don't have to look anywhere else. Now we got an extra stock there for Chaos. Yeah, I'm going to boost you and attack you, and then just have you, whatever, do that. Just kill him, and you can do that there. The enemy is not too difficult right now, and there's not a whole lot of strategy. But that will change by the time we get to the first boss fight, which isn't really all that far off. Now, the enemies around here will either drop Ether Pack S's, standing for small, or they will also drop Medkit S's. Again, Medkit, we know what that does. And we get more cutscenes, which I wasn't aware of.
So this entire thing was a setup.
Exactly. It's all part of an attempt to make the UTIC organization, or should I say, all of Milsha, into a scapegoat. Even the Realian violence that we're seeing right now is nothing more than a brushstroke in the larger picture.
Really?
But who's behind this? And why?
UTIC is undoubtedly a cover for a greater power, still operating in the shadows.
Most
I
definitely.
believe that this power is manipulating the conflict between the Federation and the Milshan system, driving a sequence of events in order to get their hands on something very specific.
Like what?
What would that be?
The Y data.
Yeah, we've heard about that before.
Y data?
Apparently that Momo has that.
I relieved an operative of this disk.
Oh, did you
Though I was
now?
only able to decode it partially, I discovered that all manner of data from all existing phenomena is gathered together within an area of space.
Really?
And beyond that lies a special place only described in the Y data.
Captain Uzuki, how in the world did you acquire this information?
He said he relieved it from an operative.
I have my ways.
I have a sword. How do you think I did it? Really? Now, you may notice in the background, there was a tower there with two pointy Batman-like ears. Yeah, we've seen that before. It's been referred to in episode 1 as Labyrinthos. Anyway, there's a save point there. I will go back there in a moment. Take a quick second to go over some of the skills that I have. Now, let's take a look at tech. Here we go. So in here, it will show off your different abilities that you can do with different combinations. If you look there, Spirit Touch is square, 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 triangle, etc. Take a look at these, and then on the right, look at the attribute, Strike and Aura. So all of Chaos's attacks are aura-based. As you can see, depending on the different situation here, he can do different abilities. Heaven's Wrath in this game is not lightning or slash, it is strike and aura, but regardless. And that being said, let's take a look at Jin. Jin has slash and strike and slash and slash, and that's it. Now, enemies that are weak to specific elements, there are 4 main elements in this game, and then different types of attack types. They tend to take a lot more damage if you hit them with multiples of that element. So if, say, I have an enemy coming up who's weak to aura, then what I can do with these sword techniques, is you add that element to an attack, but only non-elemental attacks. So characters like Jin, who have no elemental affinity on their attacks, I could put Aura on, and then you basically build a chain. And they will get into this a little more later, but you can build a chain of consecutive elemental attacks if they're the same element, and it will build the damage slowly at first, but once you get to a certain point, it'll build quite quickly. So that's why I spent all those points last time to get these first and foremost. They are very, very valuable, and some of the most useful things you will use in the entire game. That being said, unfortunately, Jin does not have very many points to make use of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go run back off screen here, and I'm going to fight the enemies, go to the next screen, come back, fight through them again. There's like, what, 3 of them? So I'll fight like 6 enemies, run back to that save point, and that's where we'll start off the next episode. Just to get a few more points for Jin, because he's going to be behind for quite some time. He wasn't, well, not as a playable character, he wasn't in. So unfortunately, we don't have a lot that we can do with him, and there is one thing I would like to learn before moving on. Anyway, that's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.